So, Josh Hickman, thank you so much for meeting with me today. Can you tell us a little bit about your company and how you got started?
I'm a third generation paint contractor. My dad was from DC, and his father was a paint contractor there as well. He ended up in Florida, I guess in the 80s and 70s. And he did a lot of big custom homes for like Southern Living magazine. In the 90s, Gatlinburg had a huge boom with the cabin scene. So there was a lot of building going on there, and the rest is history. We've been here since. He spent most of his career in the cabin scene, and they're still going today. I mean, they're still building. So a lot of stain and lacquer was his mode. I picked the company up in 2014. I kind of settled into the Farragut community, so back into the large-scale custom home scene. You know, within the last few years, though, we've really been geared more towards the commercial side of things.
So what kinds of paint services do you offer? Do you interior, exterior?
Yes, so interior, exterior, of course, once again, residential, commercial, industrial. We do, a lot for factories. We just finished up Mercedes-Benz. They're off Parkside. We're looking at taking on Genesis, which is going to be a new dealership there as well, all the way down to Sorority Village on the University of Tennessee. So we're really all over the place with it. But I cut my teeth in the high-end custom homes. A few builders that just do some of the best waterfront properties, and so that's kind of where, for the last 10 years, I've really spent most of my time. Starting this company right out of college at 24 years old, I was competing against a lot of companies that have been out here for a long time. And so the only way that I could find to get ahead was product knowledge. So I would sit in the Sherwin-Williams and pester these guys, reading data spec sheets till 10 o'clock at night, just trying to get an edge. Because, when you've got a gentleman that's middle-aged, that's been doing this for 20 years, and a 24-year-old kid walking up and you're bidding on the same projects, there's definitely,
right.
So it just, so for me, I just educated myself. And because I do find that so many people show up and they'll be like, okay, this is what it's going to cost, and we're going to put paint on the walls and this and this. I want my clients to know exactly what they're getting. I want them to know how far the paint's going, the qualities of paint, the differences in the products, the pros and cons to using specific products on specific substrates. There's a lot more that goes into it than just putting it on the wall. We've been in City View magazine 4 years in a row as Knoxville's best of the best in commercial and residential. And we're not the biggest company out there, but the reason behind that is I've always thought that keeping a smaller crew, taking fewer projects but more highly detailed projects would allow me to micromanage the quality of the company.
Do you do cabinet refinishing?
Yeah, so cabinet refinishing is huge. Cabinet kits, they can be $30,000+. What I do is we offer two different types of cabinet painting. One is where we're going to do them properly. It's usually a little more expensive, but we're using a material that's going to have the same longevity as your factory finish. There's a lot that goes into, traditionally you really need a 2-part material.
But it's still cheaper than replacing all your
Exactly,
cabinets.
and so if you like the bones of your cabinets, sometimes, like you said, lipstick on a pig. You can paint up a set of cabinets or something, and it's just like, it looks better, but it's still not great just because of the design. It dates it, but then there's times where, especially the shakers,
they're timeless.
They are, and so you can change the color, pretty easy, and they still look good and modern. But once again, going into using the proper base so that they don't peel off, because for the University of Tennessee, they never want to actually spend that type of money. So we give this economy style of.
So you're there often.
Yes. So it's a lot of the not even always like the sororities, or I've got a lot of clients that own rental properties at the university, or they have kids that are going into school, and it's much more ideal to buy something and then to rent, and then they can reap the benefits long term.
Absolutely.
So, but a lot of times they're just asking us, we offer this little deal for $500 where we're not going to open the doors of the cabinets. We're not going to take the hardware off. We're going to charge you a couple $100 and a can of oil base, and we're going to go through, and they're happy with that. That's at the end of the day, it's meeting the client's expectations, and they don't want to funnel a bunch of money into something that kids are going to rough on, and that they're going to be recoding every year. And the residential scene, most of these people want something that's going to last. And the last thing you want to do is set them up with something that when they're cleaning a month or two down the road is going to wipe off. So it's really important to use the
proper process. Or you bump it and a little piece of it comes off.
Yes, and once again, that comes down to the proper primer, and the proper top coats, and then the proper preparation. You know, degreasing them, cleaning them. It takes time. I mean, we're taking every door off. Every door is getting labeled to go back exactly the same. Every screw comes out of each piece of hardware and goes exactly back in, because they do have micro adjustments in those doors. And so it's very important. And then you're masking. Yes. And
42 doors and
you'll have 30 Ziploc bags, and each one's just got one screw in it, but it's got to go back in the same place unless you just want a headache at the end of it. And so same thing. You know, we're masking off the interiors of the boxes. Usually building whole spray booths in people's kitchens, and then we're taking the doors back to a shop. It's got to be a completely dust-free environment where there's actually exhaust pulling out the material so it doesn't lay back on. There's a lot that goes into it.
There is.
But as you stated, much cheaper than, you know, probably a third of the cost.
I learned the hard way about, like, I didn't mask off some things. So I've got some wine glasses with like some
it goes
sweat
everywhere.
Speckles.
Absolutely.
And that paint's really good. It doesn't come off.
But Sherwin-Williams did just drop a product called Gallery Series, and we just did a big custom home in Bridgemore, and that's what we use for their built-ins and cabinets and coffers and their shower surrounds. It is a phenomenal product.
Really?
But they were extremely proud of it.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
But still, like you said, I mean, it's still cheaper than,
of course,
you know, if you like you said, you like your cabinets and you like the way they're set up.
It's about a third of the cost.
10,000 or 3,000.
Exactly.
So, that's awesome.
But there's a huge industry in cabinets. You know, it's something that we
because it's such an easy way to refresh a room. You know, make it look brand new.
And some fresh hardware,
some tile, and
that's it.
So you guys offer more than just painting. Can you give us like a quick breakdown of what other services you offer?
So there's never typically a time when you walk into a home and all they need is paint. There's always tile, kitchens, cabinets, you know, bathrooms, texture removal. You know, we've got popcorn ceilings right here. We get rid of a lot of these. I'm pretty sure at this point most popcorn's gone, but there's still some lingering. Being in an industry, we always have a Rolodex full of different contacts that we can utilize for concrete, flooring, drywall, you know, different things like that, carpentry. And over the last year, I'm like, we're missing out on time, because once again, there's a huge market for this as well. So we have hired in-house carpenters, plumbers, electricians, floor guys. So now we keep it all together so that we're not pushing it out, once again, allowing us to micromanage the quality of this, because the worst thing about subcontracting to other companies is your name's on it, but you know,
you can't control the quality
exactly
of it.
And so that's allowed us to bring that back in house. Instead of subbing stuff out, we're able to micromanage, you know, all of these projects as well. And so we have started to really lean more into kitchen and bathroom models.
And it makes you kind of like a one-stop.
Exactly. And so,
because it is, you know, if somebody is getting their house ready to sell and they need it painted, there's most likely other little projects that need to be finished up.
Especially with exteriors, you know, a lot of times people are letting these things go too far. So they're going to need siding, hardy board replacements, facial replacements, gutter replacements, things like that. And so keeping these guys in-house has really helped us capitalize on just getting them done efficiently. And also keeping the cost low for clients, because you're not having to pay, you know, if a carpenter's going to come out and replace a piece of facial, he's going to charge you like a mobilization fee and this and that, and he's got overhead. But when we've got it in-house, now it's going to cost you $20 to get that board replaced. You know, and so it's really helped us once again stay more competitive.
And it's helpful too to, you know, because it's such an overwhelming job when you put your house up for sale, to have that checklist of all the things and to keep track of who's supposed to do what. And if there's one guy that can do the majority,
I think it also is beneficial for the client as well, because for them, they are not having to deal with the headache of a bunch of different contractors in and out of their house. They have one person that they trust. They know the quality is going to be there. They know it's going to get done on time. And I think that just puts, especially our clients that we work with closely, it puts them at ease.
A really nice example is earlier in the season, I had a client reach out and their house burned down. One side of the house, they had a crack in their firebox that started in the chimney, and it spread out and took down their siding, the whole side of the house, doors, windows, some of the truss systems, the roofing. It had a metal roof on it. It's on the lake, and so I started communicating. You know, I came there. She reached out for paint. You know, and the paint scope wasn't huge. They wanted to strip the popcorn off the ceilings and take care of just the room that was affected by the fire, but the smoke still ran throughout the house. And so instead of her having to call a chimney guy, a carpenter, a roofer, a trim guy, a drywall guy, a flooring guy. We were able to take care of it all for probably a third of the cost. And the insurance company loved it too because they didn't have to go find all these subs to pull together. It took a lot of stress off the client because she didn't have to go shopping in an industry that she's not familiar with.
It was already a stressful situation.
It was already a really stressful situation.
They already have so much going on in their home.
So we even have masons, that a lot of, some of our carpenters are also masons. And so that helps tremendously because we're able to rebuild the fireplace, restructure the house, fix the trusses.
And to have all the trades there at the same time to collaborate instead of, I can't do this because of this thing, and then you wait for that guy to show up. So,
exactly. It definitely helps systemize things a lot.
That's awesome. So many of our customers have had homes that have been well loved over the years. So what are some common touch-ups or repairs that you think really make the biggest impact?
I think keeping up with windows is important. A small window leak can lead to catastrophe, and it happens right on your nose without you knowing a lot of times. So I think having those checked is extremely important. Windows aren't that cheap; they're not that expensive. They don't have to be expensive. I know there's a lot of window companies out here where it's high.
But sometimes it can be just an easy repair.
Yes.
You don't have to replace the entire window.
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of times when those companies come out, they're trying to sell things, and it's not, it can be a $50 fix, but you're paying $4,000 for a window, and it just needed a bead of silicone around it. Silicone dries out. One fail I've seen a lot, and this is a little bit off topic, is people's irrigation systems. If they're not adjusted properly, they're usually hitting the windows. And people are sitting here having mold grow in their houses and chasing these leaks and this and that, and it's just as simple as having their irrigation company come out and adjust the pressure of the head or the position of it. But I think that along with paint, obviously. Paint.
I'm telling you, it makes such a huge difference.
It's silly because not all interior paint is just aesthetic.
Yeah.
Exterior is protective, but paint will sell a home, and I'm sure that you experience that all the time.
I'll go in and I'm just like, what? Why? One fresh, clean canvas, and that's the thing too. It cleans the house.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially baseboards. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been in a house and you redo baseboards, and that alone just changes. Yeah. It brightens it up. It makes it look so much cleaner. So,
and you have to do all of it. If you're painting the walls, you have to paint the baseboards, because it's like, if you don't, it's like getting a new suit and wearing your old sneakers.
Exactly it. That's a great analogy, actually. I the same. A lot of times real estate agents do call us in, or people that are flipping their homes do call us in. They're like, I just want to do the walls. And then these walls are fresh and clean, and it really exuberates how the position of the baseboards and kits.
New suit, old sneakers.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, so what's one small fix that can make a house feel brand new again? Like, what's one small thing that somebody can do?
I'm gonna go back to paint. It's just hard to get away from that. A $3,000 paint job can add $30,000. People shop with their eyes.
Yeah.
We that's how we as humans, that's how we operate.
Yeah.
And it can be a huge turnoff walking into something that looks dingy, and a $30 gallon of paint can completely completely change it. Front doors are important too, I think.
Yes.
It's the gateway.
Yeah, well, that's the very first thing you see. And then you walk into a house, and what are you surrounded by? You're surrounded by all the walls. So if they don't look good and you feel yucky. And what drives me crazy is, people will have like a bedroom painted purple and another one painted red. And it's like, all you're doing is confusing people. And a lot of people don't understand. I realize this was your home and whatever, but now it's your investment.
Yeah.
So how are you going to make your investment reap you a reward?
If it's your forever home, go bananas.
Yeah.
Do what makes you feel good. But if it's a short-term plan, a 5-year, 10-year, if there's any question marks and you're looking for paint services or upgrades, keep it neutral. It can't always be your taste.
Or you can paint it while you're there and then paint it neutral before you put it on the market.
Yeah. I think a very common trend right now, obviously, is color drenching or tone on tone. We've been seeing that for the last couple of years, but more so this year than anything. And one of my designers painted this picture for me many years ago that always run with me. And that's that, keep the backdrop neutral. You don't want people, now wallpaper's coming back and accent walls are kind of making a little appearance again. But ultimately, I think that keeping the walls neutral, laying in the background, you don't want people to walk into a home and stare at a wall.
Yeah.
But look at that wall. No.
It's the background.
It's the background. It should lay back there and kind of really help accentuate your art, your furniture, your fixtures, things like that.
In the house.
And this way, if you stick to that rule, 5-10 years the trends change. Now all you have to do is change some artwork or change some fixtures around or things like that. Much cheaper than going through and repaint a whole home.
Yeah.
So I do always kind of try to paint that perspective for people when they want to get out there with their colors.
I mean, I don't mind the color drenching. I just, when it's all gray.
Grays right now are gone.
It reminds me of like going to my doctor's appointment.
Farmhouse is finally moving out. We're seeing less shiplap. Thank the Lord, less shiplap. And people are starting.
That's why a lot of those HGTV shows just got canceled.
I know. So finally, we're starting to see people. Right now, it is bolds and warps. So what you're seeing is like in the early 2000s, you've seen a lot of taupes and terracottas and things like that. Those are coming back in. Wallpaper's coming back in. The modern, you've got your folks that are really still into the modern, the black and white with the gold fixtures and things like that. It's great. It's still beautiful. But thank God that the grays in the farmhouse are kind of seeping out.
Yeah.
And we're bringing in more wallpaper, more taupes, more terracotta tiles, more warm feeling. And even with the color drenching, we're seeing green rooms like sage, ceilings, walls, and trim, and you think it's silly, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, especially like little library areas or stuff like that.
Those little cozy areas where you want to just go and get away.
I think that's where people are coming back more to the warmth. And we're getting off the sterile doctor's office look. And there's the
flipper look.
It's
the flipper look. That's all it is. So do you offer like walkthroughs and consultations to people? Absolutely. We do free color consultations, free estimates of course as well, and for paint alongside of the carpentry stuff. Once again, we're doing siding, we're doing full kitchens and bathrooms are where we're really leaning into. Kitchens and bathrooms are the first thing that people do to update their home, and they're also one of the more expensive projects. But every 10 or 15 years, a home's getting a new kitchen and bathroom typically. And those are the biggest, like, huge impact items.
If I was buying a home, that's where my attention's going to be as well.
And especially a lot of times if it's a couple, and I know this is crazy, it's a traditional thing, but the wife is going to look more at the kitchen. There's somebody in the house that's going to be more interested in what's happening in the kitchen. Circling
back to a small update that can really make the biggest impact is lighting as well. The can lights, or nowadays they're canless. They're super inexpensive. They're about $30 to $40 a piece, and you would be shocked at how an interior of a home can change when it's sitting on either lamp lighting and you put those cans in. It's night and day, and it's a very economical way to pick a home. You put 3 can lights in a room, and it just completely changes the whole dynamic of how you feel about it, how it brings things to life. That is definitely a really inexpensive upgrade that holds a lot of value. Most of my clients are repeat clients. I love building relationships. That's always kind of been my mode. Is if you make the people happy, the work will always follow. And that's what I love about Farragut is that we're really just trying to make people happy and meet their expectations. The money is always the last thing that we really focus on. It's really just trying to achieve their vision, and because it's easy to lose track of the idea that like we do hundreds and hundreds of homes. So for us, a lot of times it's just another job. But for these people, they could have been saving for a couple of years to be able to afford this remodel or this exterior repaint. And so you've got to really put that in perspective. Like this is such a huge thing for them, even though for you, it's just another one on the books.
Right.
So I always try to make people feel like they are the only person. Because that's important. I love this area, and I love helping people. I am a people pleaser, so I think as long as you put that first, then everything else.
Everything falls into place.
Really does.
Yeah. Oh, so your tradespeople that you have come in, are they licensed and insured?
Absolutely, yeah. That's very important. We vet everybody that comes in on board with us. From references, we're really big on picking through past projects too. Like we want to see portfolios. We want a couple references. We definitely obviously have to have your general liability and workers' comp on file as well.
So how long does the average project take, and how do you keep homeowners updated with what's happening?
So our system has some automations that will allow, the minute we schedule you, it's going to follow up with that client automatically and let them know what to expect, how to prepare, for our arrival. I usually, whoever's working over that, whoever the project manager for that project is going to keep them up to date from the time they're going to show up to the time they're going to be leaving every day, to any delays if that's the case. Weather always plays, especially with exterior applications. So we definitely, once again, it becomes a friendship because or your average project, those definitely vary. With our commercial side, they can be a month or two long. 5-6 weeks. With your average exterior project, usually takes us about 5 to 6 days.
Okay.
Interior wise, 7 to 8. Once again, there's so many variables.
Depends on
size of the
project.
house, scale of the house.
You're just
scale of
painting
detail.
versus
Very-
remodeling
yeah.
a bathroom. It's going to be a difference.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, but I'm definitely in the
But
mix of it
you'll
all,
be able
all
to
the
give
time.
them an estimate of time after you've done
Yeah,
the
and we're
evaluation.
fairly accurate, within a day or two typically, and that's, unless they've added something to the scope or there's some variables such as weather or holdups or like, hey, well, while you guys are here, why don't we just have this done, so
Yeah.
there's always going to be those, but typically we're fairly accurate, and our average residential project doesn't normally take more than a week or two. Once in custom homes, you're talking about a year of in and out, you're there for a couple
Right.
weeks, then you're out, the next trade comes and does their thing, they bring you back for another week or two, you're out, and that goes back and forth for about a year or two, depending on the size of the home and scale of project. So, but a lot of times we'll have those going along with our residentials that are following in, and then our commercial stuff as well. So we kind of have a crew that's geared more towards the commercial side of things. We find that those residential and commercial painters don't usually intermingle typically, so that's been the weird. That's something we've all had to learn. I can find a commercial painter that's been doing it for 20 years, and he cannot compete in the residential industry because the expectations are much different.
Yeah.
It's just detail.
It's the details.
You have to have an eye for detail.
Because I'm
in
that
residential.
person that I'll be looking up there and be like, they got a little on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, our
That's
guys are like scared when I come on a job because any little thing I'm like, there's someone missed a step. I'm like, but it's because if I can see it, somebody else is going to see it. I mean, they may not, but if that was my home, I would want the expectation done how I would want it for my own personal home. So we definitely make sure that everything is
a lot of my clients
perfect.
think that I have a mental health condition. That's actually one of the big houses we've done in Bridgemore. She's a designer, and it's a beautiful home. And we elevators, golf course, the backyard, it went to the nines. But she's like, they called me several years before they even built. Wanted to know what kind of brick to buy before they built and stuff like that, because they knew that they were going to have the exterior painted. And she always is like, she's like, I just love, I knew I was going to use you because you have the same mental health condition. I'm my worst enemy when it comes to nitpicking work, and my goal is always to find all the imperfections before my client even has the opportunity to.
Yeah.
So I will beat myself to death. I don't care how much money we lose, how many more times I've got to send guys back through.
And that's what your higher end clients expect.
That's kind of where my reputation.
Yeah, it's reputation, but it also comes back to these, like he said, these guys. We don't know if they've been saving money for years to do this one project, and the last thing, it's devastating to pay so much money to get something done, and it's not done the way you wanted it, or there's issues, or so if we can try to resolve all of that
because
as much
everybody
as
wants
possible.
to have that moment of this is my vision, this is what
they want to see it come to life, and they want they want to be happy
and if
with
you're
it.
trusting us with that's
That's
huge.
huge.
It is.
Yeah.
And so we
For
definitely
sure.
once again try to pick through everything and bit OCD with it.
So what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you?
You want to take
Dakota. And by the way, this is the woman that he can't do it without. This is Dakota Smith. She'll be the one that you're talking to most times.
Yes.
So how can they get in touch with you?
So we have a website that I've created. That's one way you can look us up on Google. Go to hickmanspaintco.com. Via email, via phone, they can call me, they can call Josh. All of those, like he said, we don't really advertise a whole lot, but we do have a Facebook. we have LinkedIn as well. We have signs all over Knoxville as well. But I would think the best way to get a hold of us that would have all of our information, our Facebook, our LinkedIn, our emails, would be our website.
Okay, and I'll attach that
Yes.
here. Thank you so much for
No, thank you for having
coming
us.
here.